Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. This is taraleelive, and we are on the taraleelive channel, and I am joined tonight by two awesome friends. I have my friend Dan from Australia, who's here to join me, and Josh Blooms, who is with the Regenerative Cannabis Conference. Josh Blooms. Dutch Blooms. It should be your last name anyways. You're a bloomer.
It's actually, I don't tell people much, but actually my grandpa's name was Dutch. And I had the internet handle of Dutch Earl for like ever. And then when I started the cannabis business, it was like, I don't know. I decided Dutch Blooms.
Well, that just fits right in. That's way cool.
Yeah.
Well, so awesome. You know, I've been having so many people talk about this regenerative movement, and I really wanted to have you on tonight because this regenerative movement is not only important to me as a grower, but it's also a lifestyle and a change that I see that's about to happen in my life and a lot of people's lives. And I really, really look up to you guys, all you guys at the conference. I had so much fun going to the conference last year. And so I really want you to be here to tell us about what's going on at the conference this year. And Dan has got some questions for you, and he's going to help me out with that. And where do we want to start first? Do we want to talk about where the conferences are going to be and who we're going to have so far, maybe? We'll start with that.
Yeah, I can run the dates. As you were talking, I was like, I better pull up the website so I can see the dates. So that's what I just did.
There we go.
Yeah, so the first one is in January 10th, 11th, 12th in Vancouver, BC, which is, we did that last year for the first time. It was super awesome. That's where we met. You were just there. You bought a ticket and showed up and were videotaping, and it was super awesome. And we got to know each other there, and you may or may not have smuggled the Congo across the border. I don't know, but somehow that made its way across the border into the hands of many. And so you kind of set your name amongst us as like, that girl's badass. She'll do some shit.
Go Congo.
Yeah,
hey,
so
that Congo's a good smoke. It's worth it.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to smoke it yet. Tomorrow I got to cut it down because the bud rot's catching up with me. So I got to cut it down and save what I can. It didn't finish, but I got pretty close. So I got plenty of cuts. So I'm gonna run it in the greenhouse and be able to see what she really does. So thank you again. But yeah, so that's the first one is in Vancouver, BC, January 10th, 11th, 12th, and it's going to be really exciting. We have kind of the typical crew that we've had in the past. Dr. Elaine Ingham, my partner in the conference, Leighton Morrison of Kingdom Aquaponics. My mind's starting to blank. We'll have the Bug Lady, Suzanne. Wainwright Evans, she'll be there to talk about beneficial insects, and she takes up actually half of a day of the conference because she has so much information, and she's learning so much and doing so much research. Like, holy fucking hell, like I am so impressed with this woman. The more time I spend with her, I'm just like, you go girl, you are helping us all and saving the planet. So she's really awesome. Of course, Josh and Kelly from Dragonfly Earth Medicine will be there, waving the flag pretty damn hard, teaching us about what they're up to. And that's a whole like two shows in itself with the Dempure Collective and what's going on with that. I'm very excited to be a Dempure certified farmer and to be a part of the collective. And we got a lot of stuff going on, and it'll be exciting to see what happens in 2020 with that group. And then we have obviously Chris Trump, Korean natural farming guru, and he's actually gonna come this year and talk specifically about IMO. After doing this a couple years in a row, he really was kind of spreading the word, like waving the KNF banner, the Korean natural farming banner, and kind of teaching people about all the benefits, the money-saving benefits, the plant health benefits, the nutrients that get transferred into the plants. And I actually reached out to him and I said, hey man, I don't want to tell you what to do, but like, I think that people really misunderstand the concept of IMO, indigenous microorganisms. and they get really excited about the idea of FPJs and OHNs and using these nutrient sprays, and they don't catch that the basis of it is very similar, if not the same thing, as a soil food web concept of collecting microorganisms and growing them out and applying them to your soil so that your soils have the proper proportions of fungi to bacteria and the proper whole food web, all of it, not just small portions of bacteria or whatever. So, and then I can't leave out Uncle Kev, as I'm kind of calling him, Kevin Jodry. He's a true hero. We were talking about him just before we hopped online, and so he's going to be running with Sunday. Big thanks, Kev, for coming out this year. He does. So he's just a giver, and we love him and what he has to share and his perspective on the industry, his perspective on genetics. There's just so much depth to what he brings to us, and so he's going to be talking about genetics mostly. And we'll have breeders that will be traveling with us. Kaya, Pacific Northwest Roots, he's going to come with us, and a couple others. I think we're going to have the Heart Rock guys maybe come with us, and they're called Pride of Lion, Lion's Pride Seeds. I'm really excited to be knowing those guys and Daniel, and yeah. So that's kind of an overview of what's going on there. And we kind of
so Kaya, it was Kaya. So people that don't know, Kaya's Coffee, that's a real famous one. And who was the last breeder you said? I wasn't familiar with him, I don't think.
Oh, Heart Rock Mountain Farms. They're a Dempture farm.
Oh, I follow them. I am familiar. Yeah, never mind.
Dude, yeah, and actually they're the coolest dudes. So I haven't talked to Daniel specifically about this, but it's been told to me that they came out to the first conference we put on in Humboldt the first year, 3 years ago, and they were inspired and came back the next year and totally redesigned their farm and in like a season, and got Dempure certified. And Daniel's been breeding I'm super inspired by Daniel. I just am getting to know him, and we spent an hour or two on the phone the other night, and he's breeding tons of autumn flowers. He's like well down the rabbit hole, and he's a second or third gen. I don't know. I got to meet his dad, and he's a historical grower, and yeah. Anyways, I'm just super impressed with those guys and super excited to smoke some of their weed. To be honest, I got some of that Lion's Paw seed gifted from Shango, and I popped it. It's in the garden right now, so we'll see in 90 some days. I'll see what it's like. But Shango said it's got that skunk tones, so. That's cool if you got autos with skunks. And,
and that's just it. Getting to these regenerative conference, the connections and the hookups, if you're looking for strains, that's and meeting the people is amazing. To really get to talk to the breeders was really awesome, I thought, in Humboldt. That was really special.
Super special. I mean, kind of sort of back to Kev, but when Kev put out those, breeder series originally that he did down in Wonderland, it was super inspiring to me, and it opened my eyes, because I'd kind of been going down the clone game. It's interesting. When I was growing vegetables, I didn't grow any clones. I grew specifically heirloom open pollinated vegetable seed. But when I went back into cannabis, I got so interested in the hype clone game that I didn't mess with seeds as much. And so when he put that series out, I was able to see that all these breeders have been going down these different paths. Some are breeding for mold and mildew resistance. Some are breeding in the desert, and they're growing for, drought tolerance, all these different traits. And it was just like, whoa, holy hell, that's super awesome. So when we were the second year we were doing the conference, it was like, we need to bring in the third package. We've got the whole thing here. We've got the soil component, plant health component. We need you to talk about genetics, because it's such a huge thing. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of rambling.
Well, and so that's another thing you're talking about adding onto the conference this year, is trying to get more breeders there, right? And having some tables where the breeders can actually talk to people, right? And some booths set up. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that'll be different this year. We're going back to the same locations. We're bringing most of the same crew with us. They'll all be talking about new topics, you know, and we're doing breeder booths. We're still staying away from sponsors as a whole, and but we're gonna bring some breeders with us, and then we'll have local breeders that will be hopping on the booth space, and it'll kind of be in a different area, kind of speaking towards your Dan was talking earlier, I think, about the conference really being this melting pot of the community, a place for us, you know, to all come together. And so we, in creating a separate space to have breeder booths, creates that space for people to smoke and hang out, connect with breeders, talk to them. They'll be there the whole conference, sitting behind that booth, ready to sell you seed, but also ready to like rip it up, you know? And that is super invaluable. I mean, as we all know, you know, when we get these folks who have greater sets of knowledge than us, and we get them online in formats like this where they can discuss and talk and share, it's just like gold, you know, it's straight up gold.
So, and do you have like a whole day dedicated to Kev as well? Is that, am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. Kev has all of Sunday, you know, so he'll open the day up with doing a talk, you know, a couple hours, 2-3 hours, and then he'll be interviewing breeders. So and that kind of will extend until, you know, 2, 3, and 4 in the afternoon, you know, and so it's kind of a whole day of Kev, but he's really the latter part of the day he's interviewing other folks and just kind of doing that same sort of concept of the breeders thing that he did in Garber.
So it's like I look at this as a cultural gathering and a genetic swap meet, right? Where you guys just all get together and just trade a bunch of the coolest, latest shit that you've discovered while you've been secretly growing weed on your own, and then trade the coolest, awesomest shit you've been growing with some other dudes who've been doing exactly the same shit.
It kind of has turned into that, man. And like a lot of good things that I hear people talk about that get started, it just happened. You know, it's not like me or Leighton had this mastermind plan. It was like, dude, we had all these people here we should do a seed swap. And I think it was because I saw people swapping seed at the first one in Humboldt. And I was like, we should just like say that so people know to bring seed. And like, you know, you know what it was? It was, I won't call him out online, but it was a very cool dude in Humboldt that brought a bunch of clones, and he brought Lion's Quibbit, and he just brought like 3 or 4 trays of clones. And I thought, holy hell, like, why didn't I think of that? This is a perfect opportunity to swap gear and like give away. And like, of course he brought clones. Like, that's so damn fucking cool, you know? And so the next year we're back, I was like, we should just do a seed swap. And all I have to do is just announce it, and it happens. Like, we do it during the lunch break. It's not anything other than just like letting people know. And so we did it up in Humboldt, and it was really low key, up in Vancouver, and it was really low key. And I was kind of pretty distracted, and I didn't really get to participate. But then in Humboldt, there are people that have been growing weed for a lot longer were there. And I mentioned it, and I looked around the room, and I realized that there was a number of like well-known breeders that were just there for the seed swap. And I was like, holy hell, this is super cool. You know, like I'm looking at, oh, there's that, you know, and I'm kind of like it, because I wanted to let people know who was there, because I know people want to talk to them. And I was thinking more it was an opportunity to buy seeds, to be honest. That was why I was announcing folks. I thought some of the more well-known breeders would be selling their seeds, and I were just calling it a seed swap to like be ambiguous for legal reasons. And I've told this story a couple times, but like, you know, so in December I traveled to the Emerald Cup, and I stood in line, and I bought, you know, some of Freeborn Selection seeds. I bought his Sky Cuddler Kush. I bought a pack of that, and I bought a pack of the Pina F4s, and I think I spent $300 a pack, you know, which is, you know, it's a lot of money, especially for 10, 12 seeds. Not saying it's not worth it. Like, he grows phenomenal shit. I'm totally impressed with the dude. It's a lot of money, and I spent that money, and a lot of people were in. I watched his line, dude. That line was full all weekend. And then he came out to the conference in Humboldt, and same line. And I fucking hopped in line, and he poured me out a bag of Sky Cuddler Kush. He's like, which one? You got the ones on this mom? He's like, this is a different mom. and he dumped me a bag of about 50, handed it to me. We talked for a while, like, well, what do I owe you for? Oh, nothing, dude. This is a seed swap. And that was happening all across the room. And I like to use Gene as an example because that was a personal interaction. And I had many more like that. Like my whole garden, was
I was gifted. I was gifted those Northern Lights that I gifted you, right? And that was, and Kevin gifted me all those clones that I got to bring home, and I got to get one of your plants from Kevin. I mean, that was really cool. That was amazing.
So can we rewind back and just go right back to the beginning? Something really, really basic. Let's get Josh to define the word regenerative. Because as soon as I told my best mate what I was doing today, he said, yeah, but what's regenerative? To me, it was obvious when I heard it. But Josh, how about you explain what you mean by regenerative?
There's a lot of different ways you could explain it. I've been listening to another podcast, the regenerative agriculture podcast. It's got some really great content on there. I really want to send people to that. It's not about cannabis. It's just about agriculture, commercial ag. And anyways, one of the dudes on there was talking about when he made the switch from commercial style agriculture, farming with synthetic nutrients to living soils, regenerative soils. His mindset was he'd wake up on a Monday and he'd go, when he was farming commercial, synthetic, he would say, what am I going to kill this week? Is it going to be, am I going to kill these bugs? Am I going to kill these pathogens? What's going to die this week? Like what's on the hit list? And now he wakes up on a Monday, he uses his example and he says, what am I going to bring to life? What am I going to give life and grow out? Like, what am I going to push? And so I really like that. It really stuck with me. And so that's the kind of concept that I think that's regenerative, is the plants, the forest doesn't need us to grow itself. It does itself on its own. We know that. Somehow we've got messed up through this farming thing in the last 50 years. And like the process of growing regeneratively is just saying that you're growing with living systems that are regenerating life, all sorts of life. That goes way deep, and that's soil life, that's plant health life, nutrients in the plants. Like the learning is gaining speed, gaining momentum, as there's more money and technology, and as we're learning as a species more. We're just coming to the point where we're proving that Mother Nature was fucking the shit, and whatever we did for the last 50 years was really fucked up, and we need to just like rewind, and we're going, okay, now we can analyze this and this and this, and this is the best practice. And like I find so often that as I'm learning best practice or redefining best practice, that folks are going, isn't that how they used to do it? Like one example that I was just listening to on the same podcast is these guys, and these are big ag guys. These are not small 1, 20, 40 acre farms. These are guys that are cranking up, plants out, growing crops, commodities. And oh man, I just lost my thought.
You were saying you're listening to the podcast with the big agricultural guys talking about regenerative growing methods. And they were talking about how all of these new methods that they were stumbling across were actually just rediscovered old methods.
Yeah, where was I going with that? I'm sorry.
That's all right, man. Look, maybe you can tell me. I think you'd summed up everything, dude. I don't think you lost train of thought. I think you'd finished your train of thought. Dude, tell me about the initial spark. Like out of nowhere, you look like a young dude. What the fuck made you just decide that you're going to be the guy who's starting this conference?
I'm not that young. I'm 38, about to be 39, but thanks.
Hello, you're still young.
I don't feel young. I feel old farming, but I all of us, I think that are sparked on or woke, if you will, to living soil and the living world around us you have some sort of experience that starts a spark, and then things grow. And as I was going through my process and I transitioning into commercial cannabis, I was watching the Potent Ponics podcast actually, and a guy came on there, Kingdom Aquaponics, Leighton Morrison, and I was like, it was the first time I'd heard anybody in a while that I thought, man, that guy really understands the soil food web, like I haven't heard, other than from Elaine. And so I listened to the show maybe twice, and then I was like, I'm just gonna call this guy up. Like I just want to, maybe he'll talk with me. Who the hell knows? I'm just gonna call. I don't know what this company. I didn't know. I called him up, and he answered the phone, and we started talking, and we just kept talking, and we kept talking, and we kept talking, and then it was once a week, twice a week. Soon we were talking every day, and this went on for 6 months. Almost. About around 6 months. And one day I was like, dude, we got to start a podcast, dude. Like, I'm getting really annoyed. This was a couple of years ago. And I go, I'm getting really annoyed with these podcasts and these people that are saying all this shit. And they don't really know what the hell's going on. They got part of the picture, but they're not seeing what you and me are seeing and what we're talking about. And we should just be recording. I was like, almost was going to like inside job him and just start recording these conversations. And then just like, after 6 months, put them out. Like I had that thought, like, what if I just do that inside, just record? I was like, oh man, he might be really mad, that I recorded these private conversations.
I think it's illegal too, specifically.
Is it?
Like state dependent in America, definitely.
Okay, yeah, actually it's state dependent, and in our state it's not illegal. I actually checked
Good
that out. It's taraleelive, right?
Was he in the same state? Was he in the same state?
No, he was in Connecticut at the time.
Yeah, there you go. There you fucking go.
Massachusetts. Yeah, and so, anyways, I said that to him. I go, dude, we gotta like do a podcast, and like I think that me and you could have a guest on, and we'd rip it up, and we'd learn so much. It'd be really fun. And he's like, well, why not do a conference? And I was like, a conference? Like, who the fuck does conferences? Like, that was my first initial thought. And then he's like, no. And it turned out, I left out this part. It turned out that he had known Elaine, and he had studied under Elaine for like 18 months or something like that. And he's like, I'll call Elaine. I'm sure I could get her on board with this. And I'm like, kind of like, whatever, dude. You're just talking, And so we hung up, and this was around Christmas time. I was traveling and seeing my family on the east side of the mountains near where Tara lives. And so I had a lot of time to think. And anyways, I booked a venue, and I called him. I go, do you really think you can get Elaine here? I got a venue, dude. And he's like, let me, yeah, I'll call her. And she said yes. And then I emailed Jeff Lowenfels out of the blue. Like, I didn't know Jeff Lowenfels. I'm just like, hey, we're doing this cannabis conference, and Elaine's coming. Do you think you'd like to come? Right? And he goes, well, as a matter of fact, I will be in Hawaii, and he has a house just in Portland or south of Portland. He's like, I'll be coming through. I would love to do that, and I won't charge you, and I'm just going to be coming in and coming out. As long as I can be the first one speaking at 9 a.m., I have to be on a flight by 11. I'm good. I'm like, dude, whatever you want. And so, like, next on the list, Dr. Faust, same thing, email, like, I can't believe this guy got back to me or even answered this thing. But I said, hey, Dr. Ingham's going to be there, and Jeff Lowenfeld is going to be there. Any chance you'd be interested in coming to this conference? Yeah, hell yeah, I'd love to be there. And then it just say that's how it just went, and literally it was just like, boom, boom. I got this person. Would you like to come? Next person I talked to was Josh and Kelly, and to be honest, I wasn't really, I've been growing weed for a long time and producing and doing my thing. But I wasn't really a part of any cannabis community or any, definitely nothing in the public, but also, just wasn't involved. I had a small following on my Instagram, 500, 1,000 something. Not that it's huge now, but like, I don't know. I guess it was just really I guess my point in saying all that was that it wasn't me or anything I did. It was just like the timing and the luck of the whole thing. And like, it just it's been really cool. And so we did this thing in Portland, and I thought it was a one-off, you know, and I was like so nervous about it coming into it. And I just thought, oh, holy hell, I can't believe we just pulled this thing off. I thought, you know, towards the end of the conference, I'm just so thankful we pulled this off. I got to be in my old neighborhood in Portland, and these two girls that had come up from California came up to us the last night, and me and Elaine's like, you got to talk to these girls. They want us to come to Humboldt, California and do this again in a month. And I'm like, Leighton, we can't do that, dude. Like, I think we might not even made money on this. I'm worried that we might be in real big trouble here. And he's like, dude, we got to do it, man. Humboldt's the shit. And I'm like, I don't know anybody at Humboldt. And so I talked to these girls, and it ended up being Wendy Kornberg and Season. Yeah, so we decided to do it. And we did it, and they set it up, and in this cool school is that called the Octagon, and the school was built by weed growers, literally donated the money to build the school for their kids. It couldn't have been in a more epic spot, and with all these people that joined in, and I had no idea of the culture and history. I mean, I knew about Humboldt, but I had never traveled down there. So I really fell in love with that community, and they really embraced us, and the Dampier farmers embraced the conference, and it's just kind of been a snowball effect, I guess, you know, and good for everybody that's been involved, and including myself for sure.
I just have something to add to all what you were saying earlier, that like you said that it wasn't really nothing, that like you didn't really do this, and I think that's yes and no, because you said yes. And when people start saying yes, it's amazing what amazing things can happen, right? The karma that starts working together when you start building those type of relationships, and how it's kind of just compounded, right? The regenerative movement, and how everybody's working so well together.
Right. Well, not to be a total like salesman, but like one of the side goals, as we were actually, this was the first one, was actualizing, and it was really going to happen. My side goal was like, oh man, I got to get these people in a room together, and I got to get them drunk or high, and I need the truth serum, and I want them to, like, I want steel to sharpen steel, you know, was my thought. You know, like, I know that this person thinks this way and this person thinks this way, and if I can get them in the room and they can talk to each other, they're going to see eye to eye, and there's going to be greater learning for the community. And that didn't happen at all the first time, you know, because people just, they weren't used to like that. And I grew up in a really unique Christian world where people share their emotions, they spill their guts. And so I was like, totally just thought, I just need to get people together and they're going to just like, yeah, share. And that didn't happen. But it did happen a year later. Towards the end of the last conference last year, everyone was really feeling like a team, and the people were able to trust each other. The speakers is what I'm talking about specifically. They were able to trust each other's education level and their heart. You know, it really their commitment to the plant, the commitment to the planet, and to the people. Really like seeing each speaker like spend so much time pouring into people, not just doing their 2-hour lecture, but they all are there talking with people all the time, and they're continuing their relationships, like straight up, you know, like Kev is fucking emailing people, texting with them. Suzanne's doing it. Chris is doing it. Everybody's doing it. It's been such a cool, I'm doing it. And I'm just super thankful for all these connections, because we're all learning so much more together. You know, Wendy right now is, we went and took Chris's class together, Chris Trump's class together a year ago. And now she's in Korea right now learning this whole tech. And I don't really quite understand it, but it's about stabilizing microbes long-term, collecting and stabilizing them long-term. And it's pretty similar to what Leighton does, I think, from what I'm hearing. But I'm really interested to like dig into it with her. And like, you know, it's super cool that I know her now, and that I can, when she gets back, I can call her and we can talk for an hour and she can explain to me what she learned, you know?
So, dude, there's a pretty unique thing that you've done as well. Correct me if I'm wrong about the fact that it's not a trade show. There's no sponsors. Is this correct?
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about that? That sounds really in line with the whole regenerative ethos.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm going to try to roll a joint as we do it. I like to explain it to people that I grew up listening to Fugazi. I don't know if you know about the band Fugazi. They never played shows for more than like $10, $8, and they never sold CDs for more than $10 or what. I don't know what the exact limit was, but they had a price limit to everything. Like, it was, the whole point was to make things accessible to the people. And what I know about trade shows and conferences is they bring in these speakers and they have them speak for 15, 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and they pay them a bunch of money. And then the speakers are gone, and that's what it is. And that's not the environment I wanted to create. That's, I wanted some heads to clash, to be honest. Like, I wanted that, like, I don't agree with that. I want, someone to raise their hand in the audience and be like, I don't agree with that. Can you explain that? And
yeah, because that's good science, right? Good science is
exactly.
continually trying to prove things wrong or better, or to question
Right.
shit.
Right. And so, like, that's my way of steering clear of all that. Just saying, you know what, the tickets are going to have to be more expensive than maybe what they would be elsewhere, but your ticket is paying for this to happen. And that's what's going on. Like, these speakers are here. We're asking them to be here and present for more than just their lecture. So it's in my mind, it's more about the whole event and the connections than it is about the lecture. The lecture is a good part of it, but I wanted people to be able to walk up to Elaine and say, I wanted to walk up to Elaine and say, I've been studying you for 10 years. Like, holy shit, thank you so much for your work. And like, what do you think about this? What this and this and this? I've had these burning questions like for so long, and you've had that experience. Like, I saw your interview with Kev, and like, it's such a thrill to be able to ask these heads who know so much more and have more experience, all these questions, and in a personal way, rather than like from behind raising my hand in a conference. Like, there's a lot of pressure in that question than there is when you've smoked a joint and hung out and like, what do you think about this? Like, and you can kind of go back and forth more,
Yeah.
And that's how it was too down there at Humboldt and even at the BC. I mean, we were hanging with you guys. Like, we were there. Like, even though I had never met you, look what this relationship came out of, I followed you guys down to Humboldt, and Kevin runs in and gives me a hug. I'm like, holy shit, this guy doesn't know me from Adam, holy shit, how welcoming is this? And you guys had dinner, you had lunch for everybody. Like, you pulled off a good lunch, and Kenny was there. Kenny, the mushroom guy. Oh God, I love Kenny. Shout out to Kenny, the mushroom guy, the guy that helped out at Humboldt with all those things. And it was just such a loving atmosphere. I honestly, it was the best conference I've been to yet. Like, I chased all the conferences this year, and I'm not just sucking up to you right now. You know that. Like, you guys saw me. I chased all these things this year, and I was all over everywhere. But I'll tell you what, I'm going back to the regenerative conference, and that's the one thing I'm making it back to for sure. There's some other things I'm probably not going back to this year. But like, that regenerative conference, it wasn't even, and honest to God, it really wasn't the lectures for me. And just like you said, for me, it was being there, touching, feeling you guys, like, actually, being in a room of such powerful people that that are doing good and that are going to make some big shit happen this year. I feel it. I just feel it. So that's my testimony.
I just want to remind everyone, soil science is cutting edge science at the moment. Now, just to remind everyone what exactly that means that we don't know what the fuck that means. We have no idea. We've got no idea. We're just scratching the surface on what this soil science and the food web and all this bullshit with the fungus and the bacteria and we're just scratching the surface. And so that's like we're kind of done with growing plants with chemicals. Hydro's done. It's really good. It's really effective, and it's really, really bad for the environment. It's like we know this. It's really good. It's really effective. It's really bad for the environment. Soil science, on the other hand, is fucking awesome for you and for your environment. Alan Atkinson was talking about how creating the labs builds empathy within human beings, and they were using it in ancient Rome with their soldiers. They were getting them to create the lactic acid for, after the soldiers had come back from these wars. So,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the whole, and I mean that's one. I look at that as one part of sticking your hands in the dirt. That's the other thing, like sticking your hands in the dirt. Like you hydro guys must miss out on that. Really? Don't you miss out on that? Doesn't that upset us? Like seeing the worms? There's no worms.
They don't know. It's a different thing. Yeah. Like I used to grow indoor for years, indoor cannabis. Even though I was growing outdoor vegetables, I was growing indoor cannabis. And as I started to grow more outdoor vegetables and tomatoes, I started to resent having to go to the indoor grow room. And I have grow lights in here and they hurt my eyes. I can't handle them anymore. It's fucking grow lights. Being outside, being in a greenhouse is like, woo. It's awesome,
So I also love the debate that you've orchestrated at the end of the conference. Can you talk to us about that, Josh? The big
with the speakers.
Yeah.
So we do that. Actually, we do it on Friday night. Is where we're doing it. We're calling it Friday night fights. Something like that. Friday night at the fights.
Friday night fights. No, fuck. I don't know. Why is that really difficult?
I don't know why. Friday night at the fights. That's there we go. So we started this in Portland, Maine last year, and it was kick ass. It was super awesome, and we did it also in Michigan, and we just bring all the speakers up on stage, and we it's Friday night. We kind of got things going. Everyone's really excited. We get some smoke and some beers going, and we just open it up. And I hosted it I host it and say, hey, who's got a question? And it's nice for me to host it because I can kind of prod the bear. Like if the speakers are, and I'm good, I think I'm kind of good at that. If the speakers are giving to, initially, giving to PC an answer, I'm like, yeah, let's dig a little deeper there. And or Kev, what do you think about that one? Like type thing. And so it it's good, and like, people will say, I don't know, I'm not a bug specialist, let's ask Suzanne. And, it's just everything it could be. And folks are able to ask questions, about, green natural farming versus soil food web. What the fuck? And Chris Trump and Elaine are there and they can answer those questions and like, and all of the above, One fond memory I had was when I had to call Elaine out in Humboldt about compost tea, and dude, I called Elaine out. Holy shit. But we were in a room of growers, and she's like, yeah, if you make properly made compost tea, you spray it on the plants, it'll kill russet mites. And I'm like, and I think, I don't know who said it in the room. It might have, I don't know who it was, but someone goes, only if Elaine sprays it. And I had to like, hey, hold on, Elaine, let me say something here. Like nobody in this room has ever seen that happen. And we've all been growing weed for a long time. And like, we all get what you're saying. We're not dogging it, but don't step out of line here. And I'm saying that in the most loving way, like, because it's it can be easy to step out of line sometimes when you start getting excited, getting passionate about something, and you've been working on it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and trying to convince people of the system. It's very easy to like be like a puppy dog and kind of just get over exuberant and say things that are just a little, right? So I don't know if
I
that made
think you're
sense.
talking about, yeah, man, but I think you're talking about when it becomes the ideology rather than the quest for truth and for regenerativeness. It's like when you, unfortunately, the ideology consumes you. It's like vegans, man. I've got nothing
Oh,
right.
against vegans, but it's an ideology and it becomes a bit dangerous because it's you've got this idol, this thing that you're idolizing, this mentality, and it doesn't allow for critical thinking. And that's why I love the debate at the end. Is the debate at the end says, well, like you just said, any of you who have decided to idolize these methods because they're kind of like karate, they're kind of like kung fu styles. It's like you got Korean natural farming, fucking no-till.
Right.
You've got all these different kung fu styles, and they're all kind of important. You need sort of mixed martial arts. I think is what we're finding out is that, yeah, and even for the individual grower, it's like Bruce Lee said. It even comes
No,
down to that.
mixed martial arts is it, and that reminds me of my point that I forgot earlier. Is that mixed martial arts is exactly what these guys are learning on this podcast I was talking about. These big farmers are like, okay, so we have set up a system where we have a guy growing corn over here, a guy growing chickens over here, a guy growing cows over here, wheat over here, and they're separate organizations. And like now we're going to go regenerative, and I'm going to grow regenerative corn over here and regenerative wheat over here, and we've kind of caught on to the idea of polyculture in terms of planting multiple species of plants around the farm and not being monoculture, and that makes sense to us. But the next level is the animals. And when you talked about vegan, like that's kind of a sensitive point with me. You know, like I joke and am very proud to say that I converted my wife from vegetarian to eating properly raised pasture raised meat. But it was through a process in us learning too together. You know, I was vegetarian for a short period, and it in reality it just doesn't work for raising plants. Like, we need the animals on the farm. We need polyculture in terms of plant development. We need animals on the farm because they process the plants and create different minerals. It's an actual thing, and the target crop that the farmer is growing to produce and put out as a commodity doesn't have the actual fucking nutrients and minerals in it because the animals are missing from the system, let alone the microbiome. I mean, these guys are measuring this, and I'm explaining it poorly. I don't know if you're getting it, but like, I was just like, hell yes, that's exactly it. Like the picture that we have in our heads of a farmer in a farm, old McDonald on the farm had cows, chickens, ducks, tomatoes, carrots, vegetables, wheat, a balanced farm has all these things. And then you go out and you have your commodity thing, or you have multiple commodities.
Hakuna Matata, the circle of life. I know I got that wrong, but it's what you're talking about. It's that whole circle. No, it is. It's that whole. But that's what you're talking about. You're talking about the whole circle. Everything. That's also how you avoid and fix desertification is with these roaming herds. So
right.
They're extremely important. I'll mention it again. I'll keep banging on about it until everyone fucking in chat watches it. The Biggest Little Farm. They talk about that in The Biggest Little Farm, the entire circle of life, and not. I try not to get in the way of it. I always try not to get in the way of it. Whenever I see it, I try to. Like if a bug falls, if there's a dead bug at my feet, I'll put that bug into a pot plant or into a garden bed, or into somewhere where it can, benefit. So my favorite thing that I do that's regenerative is that I've got the neighbors I live in the bush, and when they get there, a lot of the time, most of the neighbors will get trees chopped quite a fair bit. So I'll get them to give me all of their wood chips from all of the local trees. So I've got this massive pile of wood chips that I've continually been building on. And then my bed's not only with those wood chips, but I'm right in the ocean. So I take the seaweed and the seashells and the dead fish and all that and the feathers and put that onto the beds as well. So being regenerative to me is extremely important. It's harder. It's much harder. It's much harder. It's much harder to grow like this. It's much physically harder.
Initially,
Well,
initially,
yeah,
Well-
initially, but I also believe that's why farmers, and I'm going to speak not just cannabis farmers, I'm going to speak agriculture around here because that's where I live in my agriculture experience, that it's been easier for them because they can throw more fertilizers and chemicals on straight from the people that they're telling them to do this, and it's easier for them because they don't know how to do it the old way. They don't realize what it would take to go back to the old way, right?
yeah, like so it's like, this is the way I was actually talking to some guys this morning about this. So if you start with an organic piece of land that you've been growing on for years and years and years, and you dump a synthetic fertilizer on there, you're going to be like, holy hell, something just happened. You just threw a massive boost of NPK on this thing, and it went out of control, and you got a bumper crop, as they call it, right? You got a big old fucking fat yield. And at the same time, you just killed all your biology that used to grow your plants. So you're addicted instantaneously, right? It's like how they say that about, whatever drugs, or, that you're instantaneously addicted to these things, and you're on the fucking pill. You need that shit to stay non-sick. And then you because you're just staying non-sick, you need pesticide management to keep the bugs off, because healthy plants can repel pests. Unhealthy plants can't. And since they're only being fed this very cheap thing, they're not really healthy, and they're not then transmitting that health to us, right? So when people say, the common thing is that it's harder and it yields less, and I think both those things are untrue statements, and that's why we do the conference, is to say, no, actually, once you're doing all things right and you're following the science of it, you're not just making compost based upon some 500-page article you read. Like, you're using a microscope, you're doing all these steps and making it in these certain ways for the specific crop, and getting really into the science of it. And you might not be seeing those results. Like, I have no problem yielding. I have no problem with quality. I'm not that I don't have problems. I'm not saying that, but like in my experience, I have no problem competing with synthetics and out competing them in yield, out competing them in flavor, 100%. Like, and cannabis has given us the best opportunity. I'll let you speak, Dan, but cannabis has given us the best opportunity to see that, because we smoke it and we care about it. And I've had all my friends who have been serious growers, not all of them, but most of them who are serious growers, when they smoked the same exact cuts that I had, they were like, dude, this is fucking amazing. I can't do it, for this, because they saw me struggling for the years and not having the yield and my learning curve, and because there was no education around this stuff. So I was failing a lot of the way through. But hands down, everybody says that organically grown weed tastes better. It has more cannabinoids and it has more terpenes in it. The yield has really been the thing. And with done proper, it's not an issue, dude. Anyways, I'll let you go down. Sorry.
No, I totally agree with you with the quality. I think that even if I couldn't notice the quality difference, I don't want to smoke stuff that's grown in chemicals. I don't care if I can't notice it. I just opt out of that. Now that if you know what I mean, now I'm told, oh, okay, I'm going to grow this in chemicals. Cool. I'll have the stuff that's not grown in chemicals. Thank you very much. But I do think it's harder. I definitely think it's hard. I think it's much easier to grow with chemicals. That's why people do it. I think it's a little bit, it's a reality check. And to me, it's a slice of life. It's what regenerative is all about. It's a little bit difficult. There's a difficulty in it, just like life. There's difficulty in that. But there's also ease in it too, because once you kind of get it going, it's just on autopilot. But I like the difficulty of it. What I mean by difficulty is, look, man, even if you've got to physically move like soil and stuff, you've got to physically move soil and stuff. So for me, I've got to move stuff uphill. So it's a physically sweating job, but I love that about it. Like I often say, I like to work hard for the recreational product that I'm using. Now, I can claim that I use it medicinally. Yes, 100%. But I've got a saying that goes against this, the activists are like, all cannabis use is medicinal. Yeah. Well, I've got a saying, if all cannabis use is medicinal, all cannabis use, in my opinion, is recreational use as well. I think it's both. I think it's both recreational and medicinal at the same time. And so for me, I like to sweat for that. I like to sweat for it because I don't sweat while I'm smoking it. So I enjoy the hard work. And to me, it resembles the yin and yang of life. It's not ridiculously hard work. It's just it keeps you fit. It keeps you active. And I don't shy away from that at all. But I'm totally with you on the fact that it's going to create a better product. 100%. It has to. It's not. This is the thing that people get confused with, this natural grow method. It's not that the people who are onto the natural grow method are saying that man-made stuff is wrong. No, you're still making stuff as men or humans. You're still affecting the entire crop. It's just that there's chemistry and then there's biology. And we don't need to do too much with the chemistry stuff. It's all there. We just need to muck around with the biology. Am I correct, Josh, in saying?
Well, let me clarify for me. I mean, chemistry, like the soil can be so impacted that we might need to add chemistry, right? We might need to add minerals to it, and then let the biology then, transform the minerals into plant available form.
That's what I meant. It just didn't get worded so beautifully or eloquently. All right, cool. Well, what else have I got here? Oh, dude. Also, if you, this is something that's extremely important and tantalizing for bigger companies. If you're growing this stuff on a grand scale and you're regenerative, it's infinitely cheaper, isn't it, Josh?
Infinitely cheaper. Once you're set up, it's infinitely cheaper. And that, yeah, 100%, because you're doing.
Isn't it free once it's set up?
Nah, nothing's free.
Well, you can share the Chris Trump. He has the extra per acres. What's he sharing?
Well, so he does, and this is not with cannabis, but he with his I think it's $500 is what he says per acre per year. Is that right?
I thought at one point he had it down to 26. It was
$26 that sounds right.
The one acreage, but then it was double, I think, for cannabis because of the more nutrients he thought. But he didn't really actually say that. He was saying that it was 26 an acre. That was what he actually.
Yeah. So, I mean,
which is if people even knew what people spend per acre around here on the farmland, they would be shocked.
Yeah. Once you have your systems in place, it's, it really is simple labor and simple, adding nutrients. You're finding out what was taken and putting it back in terms of chemistry. And then biology, you're creating systems, compost tea systems to always be spiking that and keeping that life, going and moving throughout the cycle. And so there's work, but it's awesome work. If the people that like to garden would tend to like these types of work things. So it's hand in hand, and I think, really it's a lot of times we want to vilify synthetic growers, and in reality, everyone, I think most people that are growers have a real similar mindset, and guys who are growing with synthetics really like to talk about their recipe and how they tweak this one this way and this way, because we all kind of like to be science dorks. We all kind of like to be in control a little bit. It's super fun. And organic gardening really allows for that, and it's really complements that. If you really start to delve deep, and the KNF stuff is so perfect for that, because you get the opportunity to apply something every week, or most weeks, in terms of foliar spray nutrients, but you're making it yourself too. And that's what really led me into it. I got super excited originally, was like, that I got to make it myself. And now for me, people always ask me like, am I a Korean natural farmer? Is that all I do? And it's like, no, it's not. I'm not just a strictly Korean natural farmer. Like, I don't do this regimen. To me, Korean natural farming is a tool. In terms of, the IMO or compost tea, microorganisms, that's the basis of how the living soil works. You have to have the full kingdom of plants. And so I make IMO, I also make compost, and I also harvest fish shit. And I use all three of those methods to get biology into my plant soil, to my root zone for my plants. But I like having the KNF tools to be able to, in season, in grow, in cycle, spray and hit nutrients when I need them on the plants. And it's quick. It's a badass tool, and it's super fun to ferment.
So we had a quick question from chat. They're asking if you have a worm bin, and I don't think you do. And I was just joking. I said you have one in every bed. I mean, really, that's kind of what you have in every bed. Do you have another separate one? I guess maybe that's what they're really asking.
Yeah, I have a small one, not a big one. I should have a much larger setup of that, man. And that'll be probably.
It's not like you don't have plenty of other stuff.
I know. Well, so like, here's the deal. Like, I think that this is a consensus thought that like the power of the ocean, the fish poop, and the power of the worms are fucking huge. And so we have tons of night crawlers here, but I also add red worms to every bed to start them off, and then they repopulate. And if you lift up the mulch in any of my beds, there's a pile of worms there, like just mowing hard. So yeah, but I do worm casting specifically. Obviously they're leaving their castings, but being able to apply that is pretty powerful, as is the fish shit. Like, I think that's what you're asking about talking, and that's what I'm going to talk about at the conference this year, is aquaponics as a tool in a regenerative farm with soil grown plants. Is a tool to harvest the biology, harvest the fish shit all year, then brew that out in a compost tea and apply it to your plants in the summer. And I think it's, in my opinion, one of the best ways to actually be a regenerative indoor farmer, because at that point, all you're bringing in to harvest your biology is the fish food.
Yeah, and you could even go as far as making that, if you wanted to. Back to the worms for just a second there. Okay, so could you take that another step further then, how you're saying for collecting the fish, could you collect then the worm teas off of them? Maybe have a worm bin that actually produces teas where you actually then at that point then do as one of those as well. Could you do all that, maybe something like that?
Yeah, we're going into unknown territory for me, my brain.
I
don't know the biology in what's coming out of a worm gut,
Interesting. Okay, so that's interesting. So that's one.
I just don't know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And and I appreciate that, because I so appreciate people that say I just don't know, rather than people that want to feed that ego and like act like they know. So I totally respect that. Thank you for saying that.
Hey, can we get a bit trippy for a minute?
Trippy.
Well, a little bit. So I was listening to Graham Hancock again on Joe Rogan, as I often do, and he was talking about the Amazon and the terra preta, the black earth that was created by the Amazonians. He claims, and that he claims that the entire Amazon is a man-made garden. And it's made with this stuff called terra preta, which is this dark earth that the Amazons made, the Amazonian culture made out of biochar and biology. Now, you assume excrement, right? And I was just thinking, Josh, you had me thinking that maybe it was fish shit, like, because they had those fucking big, those big lakes, right, in the middle of the Amazon, right, in the middle of the forest, like those massive meteor craters that are filled with natural water, right? So they could have easily have been harvesting fish poo. I don't know. Could they? I don't know. I don't know. Look, I thought it was a very, very cool thing that Graham Hancock was talking about. Anyway, that either way, it's still a form of regenerative growing method, and it shows that our ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago, really did understand a lot more about growing than we do now. So, guys, we've been going for like 59 minutes.
I was just going to ask, and I was just going to say, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Is there any questions that you guys might have that we could get to Josh, or also anybody that watches this later? Please leave some questions down below if you have any. We would be happy to answer them. We're planning on trying to get together once a week, trying to get some regenerative stuff going. I've been wanting to get Dragonfly Earth Medicine on here forever, and we are going to get them on here. And but they're so busy right now with harvest, and I just hate to take up their time. And I will be seeing them in Emerald. So I really value everybody's time as a grower, because I realize right now is harvest time. And all you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you. Even those sticky fingers out there, and all you trimming scissors going on, and all you in trim gel. I appreciate for hanging out. You don't have to chat, but I do appreciate it. What else? Is there anything else you want to ask? Any other questions, or Josh, anything else you want to throw out tonight?
I just throw out about shameless plug, but I guess it's not shameless.
We have you here. Hello, that's why you're here.
regenerativeseeds.com. We have started, I have started a seed cooperative, and sorry, I just got an email and looked at it. Excuse me. I've started a seed cooperative. It's regenerativeseeds.com, and it's similar to the Seed Savers Exchange in that we have a number of breeders that are online and coming online, and it's going to be a slow rollout of the program. And a portion of the seed sales will go to seed preservation projects. As well, we will accept a membership that will, proceeds from the membership will go to seed preservation projects, and we will then distribute the seeds through to the members, and a bunch of different things. Basically, the goal is to take the genetics out of the hands of a few and put them in the hands of many. That therefore they can't be stolen and taken from us if the many actually physically hold them. And we preserve these marker varietals that were the backbone of what we deal with now. And the other concept is that the seeds are biointelligent, in that they are grown in living regenerative soils, all of them, all the breeders. And so, kind of reversing to what we were talking earlier, I had found over time that when I had used clone stock or seed stock that was from synthetically grown plants, that it took 2 to 3 cycles before I was able to get the plants to grow as well in my living soil systems. And as my friends were growing in the synthetic systems. And then I brought that up to Elaine, and I brought that up to Josh and Kelly, and they were like, oh yeah, totally. That's biointelligence. And so that's definitely part of the banner of what this doing is. It's all the seed will be grown in living soil systems and have a biointelligence. So when the seeds are planted in living soils, they're going to be ready to take off. In fact, they'll actually have biology living on the seed itself and ready to take off and start the growing that much faster. So I'm really super excited about that, and just wanted to kind of throw that plug out there, if that's cool.
Absolutely. That's what we have you here for. We want to promote everybody in the cannabis industry, whoever that wants to come on here and hang out, and especially regenerative. If you are on the regenerative movement, I am 100% behind you, and we want to get your name out there. We had a couple questions in chat. Labs in late flower for minor PM control.
Yeah,
Or attack by
I think you
optic, maybe?
fucked. You fucked at that point, aren't you, Dutch? Like if you got PM late in flower, you fucked, aren't you?
Well, yeah, you can spray water on it as long as it's not, not on the buds. You're pretty close to fucked. Like I would spray high pH water on there. I would never spray anything other than water on a flower. Period.
What about
I know
peroxide? I
know
keep
people
hearing
that do.
peroxide. I keep hearing 10 to 1 peroxide.
No, there's no reason for any of that bullshit. That's
You can't do much late in flower. It's literally,
yeah.
You're fucked. Like it's like you should have done things way before. That's a question, but someone is in denial.
Yeah, any product. I tell this people, any product, period, cannot be put on the flower. Period. Any product. Doesn't matter what the bottle says. Like and I've done that shit. I've latent flower sprayed the thing that said you can spray this up to a week, and I did it week 3, and like the guys go, "What's up with this round?" And I go, "You noticed it too, huh? Don't think I could ever do that again." That was years ago. This shit comes through, man. It comes through.
So alkaline waters, someone's saying that's kind of about the best you can. Okay.
Yep.
Milk thistle and early, what was that? And early flower. Milk thistle. Okay. You'll have to tell us more about that, AJ. I don't know about that.
It's prevention's way better than the fucking cure, eh?
Environmental control is 100%, and watering is 100% the issue. If you're getting PM, it's environmental control and watering. It's more likely watering than anything else.
Meaning you're watering too much or not enough?
Too erratic, too much.
I knew that was a dumb question, but I just wanted to say.
No, that's what it is. It's you flood it and then it dries out, and then you flood it and then it dries out. And that's not how living soil works. Living soil is even. You put a mulch layer on there, and that's why the blue mats.
I was gonna say that's why you like those blue mats.
I don't have to work, and I haven't had PM forever because of those fucking blue mats. Forever.
And you live in
I live
PM area.
It's been raining. I have bud rot, but no PM on anything outdoors, and it's been raining for the last 6 weeks. Like all of my flower production, it's been raining.
Okay, for someone that's a new grower, I know someone that wouldn't know that question. What can you explain the difference between bud rot and PM? Then someone might think that that's the same issue, right?
Yeah, they're different. Botrytis is bud rot. It's actually mold, like what you'd see on a peach, or rotten fruit. It's very similar to that in the way it looks. Powdery mildew is starts on the fan leaves, usually down lower in the plants. It's actually a soil-borne mildew, and the spores come up, and they by the time you've seen the manifestation of the leaves, you have a real systemic infection in that plant, and it fucks the plant up and causes the plant to grow slow. And then if it gets really severe, that'll actually crawl all the way up onto your buds, and then your buds are totally destroyed. And because you can't smoke that shit, it's really unhealthy. It's actually proven, so on the other end of it, it's actually proven that the PM is not dangerous to humans in eating. It's all over, like food that we eat. Right, it's everywhere. It's fucking all over the place. Zucchinis, squash, they're melons. They're totally prone to PM, like especially where we live. But it's okay to eat it. Smoking it, we have no science on it, but I can taste it. You can taste it. We can all taste. We all know that shit fucks our lungs up, just like we all knew the vape shit fucked our lungs up.
Speaking of which, we tried to get a guy on, one of my friends on, to talk about vapes. He knows a lot about vapes and actually couldn't come on just because of the laws right now. It's like we couldn't speak publicly. Too worried about, criticism right now and all this stuff on the, it's so, okay. Touch on the vape thing. Yeah, that's not a good thing. What was it? Okay, someone brought up a top lit updraft gasifier. I have no idea what that is, Joff.
I don't either.
Okay. All right. Is there any more questions? If I missed any more questions out there, guys, hit me up, hit me up. So who can we expect to get on next, Josh? What are we thinking? We got to get Leighton on here.
Yeah, we got to get Leighton on
Yeah.
here. Everyone is harvesting, and I was just
I
thinking, as
know.
you were talking, when we go to Emerald Cup, it'll be easy to connect with people and get some folks on. I want to start pulling from the Dem Collective, honestly, and just bringing on Dem farmers, Dem breeders.
I'd love to.
We got a lot of people doing some really cool work, and like we could do that for a year. We could just do Dem farmers for a year, and it would be totally cool content.
I would love that. I would 100% behind that. And speaking of which, what did I see about the Dem Pure athletes? I see a new program. Too. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. I don't know much about it, but I saw that too. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know Skylar and Sierra has got something to do with that. Yeah, I want to know what's going on there, guys. I can't wait to hear the stories.
Have you seen? Do you follow Sky's Instagram?
Yes, I do. Amazing photography. Yeah. Like, oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that for two, but also like his riding. He's like,
oh yes, he's a champion bike rider, right? Like mountain biker. Yeah, mountain biking. We call him? Yeah,
racing. He's mountain biking racing, I believe. But yeah,
I saw one of his videos and it scared the piss out of me. Like,
yeah, no, he charges.
Like, I swear he was gonna hit that tree. I was like, I can't watch the shit. Oh my god.
Mountain biking is like that. It's pretty fun. It's intense. It's like being in the Star Wars. Here we go. It's like being in the Star Wars, through the trees. That's how mountain biking is. It's cool.
Yeah, it looked cool. They're amazing. And that's what's cool also about they're such athletes, they're getting out and they're showing people what they are doing as a collab and as a family. It's a strong network and it's amazing. And you guys are doing some amazing stuff. Dan, did you have any more questions?
No, I think we're good. We covered everything as far as I can tell. Yeah, just if you I think someone already said that the DK Trades has said he's going out to the conference. Someone said they bought tickets already. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's good.
I follow him.
He was actually in the live online. He attended the live and I chatted with him on live. That's how we all connected. Very cool. Yeah, very, very cool.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. One more time, I'm going to let Dutch tell you how you can find him in all the different areas. And do you want to go over the dates one more time in the conference?
Yeah, I didn't even finish it. We got totally sidetracked. So regenerativeorganiccannabis.com is where you can find all the information. Simply regenerativeorganiccannabis.com. We have in Vancouver, BC, January 10th, 11th, 12th, and then we'll be in Humboldt, January 31st, February 1st and 2nd. We'll be in Michigan at Grow Greens, like one of the biggest grow stores in the country. It's super dope. You should come. I think you're going to be there for sure this year, Tara. And it's March 27th, 28th, 29th. It's in Whitmore Lake, Michigan. And dude, Michigan had the best hash out of any of the places we went last year for this conference, hands down.
I'm definitely there then.
Yeah, no, they seriously like, and I'm not saying other people can't make some good hash, but like, dude, the hash was fucking flowing and it was delicious. And we, oh man,
you know what? This sounds like a challenge. Maybe we should award the best hash of the conference. Like we should it would be kind of fun. Huh? Yeah, it'd be kind of fun.
a speaker's cup.
Yeah, yeah.
Who can blow out Josh the fucking hardest with the
dude? You know who blew me out is this dude. We had in Michigan. This dude had a white dragon that I hit hard. And
well, I was gonna say you hit my nectar collector pretty hard that first day the down there at Humboldt and in that rosin. I was like, oh crap, he's gotta go up and do stuff. I was a little worried, but you held off. You did good, man.
No, I smoke. That I do. And then, okay, so last one is 420 weekend, April 17th, 18th, 19th in Portland, Maine, which is a phenomenal place. I'm very excited to go to Portland, Maine. We had some good dinners there, some super good people. Like Portland, Maine are salt of the earth fucking growers. Like I was stoked to hang out with those dudes, and I'm super stoked to go back. And yeah, eat some lobster.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'll probably be at most of them, most likely. If everything works out, what we're working on, I'll probably be at all of them. So
we haven't really announced it, but I think
Yeah,
we're going to
we'll
do a
see.
live, and you're going to run it. Is kind of the plan.
Yeah, we got some shit going on. We'll see what we can get going for everybody. But yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and please go check out my friend Dan that helped me tonight. He's an awesome co-host. He has some films that he has out, and he's got an awesome interview with Kevin Jodry and also with Joshua Steensland. Joshua Steensland also going to be at the conference, right? I couldn't remember if he was one of them that was also going to be there. He was last year.
We don't have it.
Don't have it tied down yet. Okay, so he was there last year, but yeah. Okay.
If we can get him there, we'd love to.
God, Josh, if you're out there, Josh,
please come.
Everybody, go hit Josh up and DM me. Tell him he has to go. Tell Josh he has to go to the conferences. There we go. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a fantastic night. And once again, thanks all for joining us.